Good afternoon, everyone. Justin Williams here, Managing Director of Sales for SwipeClock. Thank you very much for attending the Managing the Workforce webinar today. Some of the things that we're going to highlight is just pretty much state of the union as it applies to all things happening with SwipeClock. So with that being said, let's get started. So a little update on SwipeClock. Many of you are familiar with the old mission statement. If not, I'm going to tell you what it is, and that is simple, affordable time and attendance. Things have changed at SwipeClock since we started focusing more on the workforce management suite of products that we have here. And if you look at the slide here, you'll see the human resource management pie chart, if you will. Everything is centric to the employees: compensation, benefits, and payroll, talent management, recruiting and staffing. And here's where SwipeClock comes into play. The key to workforce management, and here really is where we're focused and our direction in terms of where we're going the remainder of this year and into next year. We'll this during the webinar, and it should give you pretty good insight into all things that are happening and insight into maybe areas where you possibly need training or assistance or help with marketing. So again, time and attendance, scheduling and forecasting. Obviously, that transforms labor from a cost of doing business to a competitive advantage. And as we all know, automation helps save time, overhead, manages overtime, and saves money, and most importantly, keeps clients compliant. One of the conversations that I typically have when I'm out traveling, meeting with our partners, some of you who I've probably met with, is how do conversations typically start? When you're either talking to an existing client or you're talking to a potential client. And one of the things that I ask first and foremost is, do you start with payroll? And inevitably, every single time, it's no. We lead with compliance. Payroll is a given, which it's great to hear that. And everything that we're doing here at SwipeClock with the workforce management application is built around compliance and that ACA compliance and those requirements that have been provided that we all have to follow. So the new mission statement: simple, affordable workforce management. Not a whole lot of deviation, just a little bit, but everything stays the same. But this gives you some clarity around really where our mission statement is and where our direction is moving forward, and that's around workforce management. So that's the new mission statement. So a little bit about what's been happening over the course of the last year. New customers that we've brought on board, 6,400. And new employees added to the system in the last year has been around 164,000. And this month's been a great month. That number is probably going to climb by almost 10 to 15% just from this month alone, and a little bit from last month. Workforce management, people who are migrating off of TimeWorks over to workforce management has kept us all busy here, and the numbers that we're seeing are indicative of many, if not the majority of our partners getting off of TimeWorks and moving over to the workforce management platform. So total users to date, again, and this will change, is a little less than 826,000. So we're quite happy with the direction in where we're going, and I think the numbers and the drastic numbers in change in the positive direction are giving us validation around where we're going and what we're doing, and that our partners are happy with that direction. So innovations that we've been working on, new enhancements to the dashboard. We've been working on notifications and compliance, primarily around ACA and PBJ. One of the things that you'll have noticed is the dashboard. That dashboard is going to give real-time analytics and information back to the client that really creates the ability for the manager to create action based on real-time data. As many of us know, data that isn't in real time isn't actionable data, It's data that's stagnant, and oftentimes because it is delayed or it is old, we're not making the best decisions for the business. So therefore, everything being in the cloud, everything being centric around data, everything being primary to workforce management, i.e. TimeWorks Plus, combined with Time Simplicity. And then many of you know about the new workforce management clock and the tablet clock that will be coming out. That clock and the data that it provides back really truly brings in and ties together what we're very happy about, and that is the workforce management suite that provides this data back to the client. So they're working more by management by exception, and many of you know the definition of management by exception, but if you don't, it's really truly focusing on the business as it pertains to the financial and the operational side, allowing managers to focus on what's most important, because all of the other things are just being managed within the software of the workforce management suite. So here you'll see, and you're familiar with this, the old look when you log in. Changes there, a much cleaner UI. One of the things that we've really focused on doing, again, is making the user interface much easier to navigate, much easier to get to where you need to go or where the client needs to go to get the information that matters most. And you'll notice the quick stats up there, total employee clocked in, and you can see the other bullet points below that. But this is actionable data or relative data that the manager or whoever is looking at this screen can get just a quick glance of the things that are happening and create action around that. So the login page, many of you have probably seen the login page here. It's changed quite a bit. And so there'll be information, updates relative to things that are happening, newsworthy events that you'll be notified of, and just another way to interact, if you will, and to make aware and to create knowledge around things that many might not be aware of or they need to know about. Here down below, we've talked about compliance. It's a big thing. So we've updated and created the ACA guide and the PBJ compliance guide. Many of you are probably asking, how come you haven't seen it? Well, the answer to that is you will today. If you haven't received a copy of this, look for an email that will be coming probably on Monday that'll take you to a landing page where you will be able to download all marketing content relative to workforce management, anything around compliance, the new web clocks, everything will be right there, and it's a link that you can continually go back to and see if there's new updates or changes, and you'll be receiving notifications of that too as well. So again, all of the content that we speak to today, you will have access to by the latest Monday afternoon once the email is generated. Sales Assist. One of the things that we've realized that we need to do much better at is assisting our partners, you, in helping you with implementations, helping you migrate, and giving some help around sales. Oftentimes, depending on the size of the partner, they don't have resources that can do the implementations or can do those migrations or can help with the sales process. And so therefore, it's possible that partners just elect not to do anything because they don't have those resources. Be assured that you have assistance here. It's a matter of making the individuals within your organization aware that there is a way and there is a pathway to where that sales assistance comes into play. And if you just reach out to your CDM, they're more than happy to assist you, whether it's with training on how to navigate solar, how to get into our system, how to find videos, how to do implementations. Maybe you've got a new employee that's coming on board and they need to get up to speed and you don't have the resources really to train them. Again, we're here. Please reach out to us. We're here to help and support you. So please don't be afraid to reach out and ask for assistance if there's any assistance that's needed. So just really quick, Time Simplicity Fast Start program. One of the things that we're willing to do here and we want to do is help you with the first two implementations. Those implementations are obviously free. Many of you have probably already gone through this process and received more than 2. Quite frankly, it's going to probably take a little bit more than 2 implementations, take a little bit of time to learn. And time simplicity is a little bit more complex than time and attendance at TWP, but it's to be expected. So again, we're here to help you out with this. If there's somebody within your organization that you really want trained on this, again, reach out to your CDM or reach out to myself, and we can set up some times to go through implementation training with them and help them better understand all things relative to Swipe Clock or what's pertinent to their role as they're there to help and assist you in all things Swipe Clock. So the TimeWorks to TimeWorks Plus upgrade program, what we'll do, and we've been doing, is we'll help migrate or convert 2 of your current accounts that are on TimeWorks over to TimeWorks Plus, and we'll do that for you for free. And really, it's not a complicated process by any means whatsoever. It's a 5 to 10 minute process, and one in which, you know, if you have somebody internal that wants to learn how to do this, which I highly encourage, it only takes 15 to 20 minutes really to teach them how to go in and do this. Obviously, there are nuances to some conversions, and that typically has to do with scripting. So not everything is a perfect science, but for the most part, we're seeing that migrations, you know, 5 to 10 minutes max. So again, we're here to help you out with that. At the end of the webinar, I'll be offering you know, something to all of you if you want to take advantage of that will take place this month. So stay tuned for that. And then the sales demo support program. Oftentimes, I think that partners get a little concerned or fearful of doing demos because, again, time simplicity is its own little monster. But please reach out to us and have us help you with a discovery, with a demo. My team here is very good at what they do with the discovery process and getting in and doing the demos. One of the things about time simplicity is not all demos are equal based on the industry and you know, or vertical type. You've got to have a demo for manufacturing. You've almost got to have one for hospitality. You need to have one for retail because they're all different, and the pain points, quite often, believe it or not, are different as well. So we have about an 89% close rate here on deals that we work with our partners that typically last less than 30 days if we're helping drive that process. So if you're looking for assistance through the demo process, or you're looking at training somebody internal to your own organization on how to do these demos, again, I encourage you to reach out to your CDMs or reach out to me, and we can facilitate and start working with you on what that training program looks like, and we can get your team educated and up to speed so they can do this on their own. One of the other things that has been a priority for us is, you know, making a support system for our partners much easier to navigate and much easier to get answers to that you might not have been able to get in the past. And so we've created a knowledge base. And so one of the things about Solar, if you go into it and you type in and you have a question and you go up to the search bar, it's going to populate a list of different responses that is more specific to your request, where you can go in and choose 1 or 2 or 3, whatever makes sense, and you can get those answers there. So, you know, having a learning management system or what we call Solar available to you to go in and even go through an accreditation process as it pertains to all things training, Swipe Clock. There's going to be different training modules that your people, whether it's support, sales, or whomever within your organization, can go through and take. More importantly, new employees, right? Oftentimes there's a lot of turnover within the business unit, and so training somebody or getting them up to speed can be somewhat of a complicated process that takes a lot of time and effort by somebody from your own staff. So this tool here will be a great tool that will give them foundational knowledge around things Swipe Clock and the things that they're not able to get. Obviously, again, I encourage the communication between the partner and the CDM, or even myself, in facilitating and making sure that we are making sure that you guys know everything that's going on relative to new product offerings marketing material, or etc. It will all be here. So again, knowledge base, advanced search, and you'll be able to manage tickets that you're submitting through email here. So the new solar system, many of you may have gone to, many of you may not have gone to. Again, I just mentioned this, but individual training courses, you know, things here within the support system, again, we'll be able to track for support staff, sales personnel, and managers. If they come and they go through their training, you know, whether it's a video, whether it's going in and it's questionnaire, or it's a learning environment, wherever they leave off, they're going to be able to return back to and continue moving forward. So from a manager, if your employees and you're guiding them to come to the solar system to learn, you're going to be able to track and look and see where they're at in that learning process too as well. So there'll be information on script writing, and one of the things that we're working on and we hope to see here fairly soon is time simplicity, advanced scheduling, sales, and back office support. More information, primarily that's going to be video content for people just to go in and watch. So that will be there. You can expect to see that probably within the next 3 weeks or so. And then down at the bottom, you'll see the hyperlink there to where you can go and access solar. Again, I encourage you to write this down. If you don't want to write it down, you'll get this information and you'll get this PowerPoint presentation Monday when you receive the post follow-up email from the webinar that you're attending today. So new partner onboarding guide, again, you'll be able to get this, but this is great. There's a lot of information within the new partner onboarding guide, even if you're a current partner, that you can go back to and you can access and probably learn things and find things out that you might not have known. So you can go and learn about our products. You can learn about our support and marketing systems, and again, learn more about training. So this is something that you could give a new employee when they're coming on board that kind of gives them direction in what they need to do to learn more, in conjunction with just having those training conversations or those live webinars that we're going to put a whole lot more emphasis on going into the month of July for the partners, and they'll be specific to workforce management, any technology roadmap, comparisons, TimeWorks to TimeWorks Plus with Bundle, anything relative to what we're doing here. There's going to be video content, more than what you've probably seen in the past, to help support you in your ongoing efforts of supporting and selling SwipeLock. So innovations, some of the things that we've been working on, or a lot of the things that we're working on, obviously we've got the workforce management clock. It's been a huge priority for us. We've got a couple different things going on there. We've got the web clock, which we should see released probably in about 4 weeks to everyone. We're just finalizing our last little bit of testing, and then everybody will have access to that. But the Workforce Management Suite really helps ensure that you've got the right employees in the right place for the right amount of time. This is really what brings our Workforce Management Suite together. This is where the data, in conjunction with what we're getting from time and attendance and scheduling, really comes together and creates data that is actionable. But even more than that, what it truly does is it protects and maintains the compliance around ACA that many of us are fearful of. Many of us are fearful that the clients who really aren't adopting the whole ACA thing, or they're fearful of it because they don't know it, or they just choose to ignore it. This is really the best way of making sure that they maintain that compliance. One of the things, and you'll see the green highlighted button, that it's the clock in and clock out. If I'm coming into my shift and I'm clocking in and I'm a little bit early, and those rules can be set by the client themselves, it's going to let me know that I'm 10 to 15 minutes early. It's going to prompt me and say, here's the time that you can come in and clock in. And then there's the clock out. Same thing there. You've got start break, end break, start mill, end mill, transfer, and ESS. So in the sense of just tracking employee state, that management by exception conversation that we had about 5 minutes ago, this is really truly where managers don't have to track. They don't have to worry about going in and wondering where people are at or having to fill shifts, because most of the data resides here and they can see what's going on. So again, this will be coming out probably in about 4 weeks, and then we've got the tablet clock that should be coming out. We're hoping the first part of Q4. So another thing, the workforce management clock helps manage those labor costs and keeps you compliant. I think one of the things that's very important to highlight right here is labor costs. We're talking overtime here. We're talking, if you got employees that are part-time, making sure that they're not exceeding that 30-hour equivalent, or they're not exceeding the 40 hours. And just going back and some of the research that I've done in conversations and just looking at payroll data from various partners that we've got and doing an analysis on that overtime, much if the majority of all overtime happens because there is no management around clocking in and clocking out, and I call it the world of Excel hell, because there is no accountability to that. And I think clients have just assumed that there's a certain percentage of revenue that's going to have to be allocated to overtime. Here's where I think how we go about messaging workforce management really truly makes sense. In the past, they paid us, and we managed their payroll and their benefits and everything else. But what you're able to go back and do now is say, look, I have a way of putting money back in your pocket, reducing your overtime, and helping you grow your business. So you almost have to look at what I'm trying to do for you, and I'm, if I'm in your seat and I'm talking to the client, is I have an investment into your business that's going to yield a return. It's going to put money back in your pocket. It's going to keep you safe. You're not going to have to worry about, compliance issues around ACA. And you're going to be able to focus on what's most important, and that being the business, that being the financial and the operational side of the business, and being able to do or have those individuals who were hired to do a certain job focus on what that job is and not the other things that really don't matter anymore. So here's the really cool thing about the web clock, and I just might note here really quick that the tablet clock and the web clock really truly mirror each other with a couple different, the tablet clock obviously has got Wi-Fi and it's got cellular capability, and you'll see that here a little bit later on, and biometrics. So the tablet clock has that, but here if you're early, it's going to let you know that you're early and that you need to punch in at a certain time. Again, conversely, if you're late and it says you're 17 minutes late, those punch details are going to be right there, and it's also going to prompt the employee to put in the reason as to why they're late. So again, going back to employee state, being able to look and manage, and the managers have visibility into what's going on, because oftentimes if it's just tracked manually or it's tracked through Excel, there is no visibility into if people are punching in early or they're coming in late, or if they're under their 30 hours or if they're exceeding their 40 hours. Now we've got the information, we've got real-time data in front of us, so we can correct behavioral issues that might need to be corrected so that they don't continue. So next up, a clock with touchscreen battery pack and add-on biometric and proximity card capabilities, and is Wi-Fi ready. So my apologies on this. I have this slide down at the end during the sales part of the presentation, so we'll get there. So let's jump really quickly to another one of the innovations that we've been working on, and that's obviously mobile. Mobile for not only time simplicity, but mobile for TimeWorks Plus as well. So everything, technology is really driving the market in the sense of, everybody's on a tablet, everybody's on mobile, and then there is the word that many of us who just kind of cringe at, and millennials who think they should work from home. This solves the whole millennial problem, I think. But here, with time simplicity, the work schedule is always up to date. It's always with the employee. It's easy for the employee to go in and request schedule changes to the manager without having to make a phone call. They can pick up extra shifts. They can go in and trade shifts. There's a trade board there, so if you've got an employee who can't come in because they're sick, It's going to populate and show the employees that are available based on their hours to which one that they can choose from. So employees that shouldn't be working because they don't fit whether it's part-time or full-time, where they're looking at exceeding those hours that they're restricted to, don't pick up shifts. So again, everything's being managed not only from the PC side, but also from the mobile side as well. So integration. This has been another big project for us, and we've heard partners loud and clear that, a single sign-on, having one point of entry to go and get everything is really not only where the market's going, but it's what our partners want. It's what you want. And so you can see up there on the board many of the payroll providers that we have integrations with currently. In addition to that, not only do we have integrations with them, but we're continuing to drive what that innovation looks like in terms of just providing more data, making it easier, providing or figuring out how to make the user experience as it relates to the client logging in much more seamless, and where they can just go and they've got the information right in front of them. So reporting is another thing that we've heard that people want partner-level business reports, account archiving services, and data warehouses. Again, everything that we do today resides really truly around data. So that infrastructure improvements include a data warehouse for flexible reporting. We're working on that. Partners here soon will have reporting capabilities that will give them more visibility and actionable intelligence into what matters most. Again, it's going to be more of a dynamic reporting versus static. Dynamic meaning that the information that we've got coming in updates those reports in real time, versus the data that we've seen in the past. 24 hours is old data, and I don't believe that data from 24 hours ago is actionable data. So again, everything being in the cloud and having the data through the Workforce Management Suite really provides that visibility and that insight into what matters most and how to go about changing things that need to be changed, or even getting better insight on what's going really well, so that those business patterns or processes continue to be followed. So the other thing that we're working on is an archiving service, and we'll hopefully have that available for you for sale by Q4. One of the things that you'll be able to do is go back to your clients and provide to them or sell to them an archiving service where they'll be able to go back, I believe, 3 years and to retrieve their data. So more information will be coming out on this probably middle of Q3. So stay on the alert for more information around the archiving service. In addition to that, might I suggest, if you're interested in this, kick me over an email if it's something that you're wanting to provide back to your clients. I will make sure that you're on a list to where you are notified immediately once this is done, or even get on an advisory council where you can look at this and provide suggestions and updates. So integration review, exposing more. One of the things that we really want to do, again, is going back to creating that seamless integration, is adding more resources to the API, such as time off requests, attendance infractions, and etc. So deep linking to functionality examples of that would be click from the portal to time card approval, or click from the portal to time card edit to fix missing punches. We all know how nice that would be. Just going back and having to fix all those can be somewhat of a pain. So providing some more functionality that makes it easier for the clients or you to even do this is something that we're truly focused on. And the end goal is obviously having the appearance of one application. The TimeWorks Plus dashboard items in an HCM dashboard. Employee portal items seen in HCM employee ports, which highlight web clock, direct link to time off requests, and review to time card. And here on these next additional slides, I'll highlight that. So just here fairly quickly, some of the integrations that we have and we're continuing to work on. We have one with HR Next. And here you'll see where the dashboards are created within the HR Next platform. So just logging in and the user experience and being able to see some of the data that matters most right in front will truly be an added value to those who are taking advantage of it. Evolution, and many of you, I think, are going to be attending the Evolution conference next week, where we will be talking in further detail and providing more information into current things that we're working on with Evolution that's going to truly enhance this dashboard here as well. So you'll see their dashboard right here, and then we've incorporated some of the stuff that we're working on into that dashboard as well. Another one of those is Shugo's employee portal. Here you'll also notice the clock is built into this. You'll see the clock in, clock out. So that's all there, and they'll be able to see that. In addition, they'll be able to get the alerts and the notifications from within that portal as well. We're working with Thomson Reuters. So if any of you are doing stuff with Thomson Reuters, you're probably familiar with some of the integrations that we're working on there. You'll see some dashboards down there that we're working on or currently have integrations with. And keep in mind, please, that a lot of the integrations that we're working on, they're continually moving forward. So you'll notice a lot of enhancements if you're with any one of these payroll providers, probably over the course of the next 30 to 60 days, and just in terms of improvements and data that again provides actionable intelligence based on that workforce management suite and the data that we glean from that. So my favorite part of the presentation is really the sales side of it. So what we've done is we've talked about innovations, integrations, and things that we're working on and where we're going. But I think the most important part of anything that we do is understanding how to talk to the value of workforce management when we're talking to our partners or we're talking to our current install base. I'm a big believer, just because the world changes, that the customer yesterday is not the same customer today. And if you think about that for a minute, and I encourage you to do so, why is that? What do you think the reasons are behind why the customer is not the same today as they were yesterday? The customer is evolving. The next question that we have to ask ourselves as business owners, are we evolving? Are we staying ahead of the evolution curve as it pertains to the knowledge that's out there or the knowledge that clients are able to access on a 24-hour basis? One of the things that the internet truly has provided us is the ability to go and have data or information or insight into what it is that we're looking for almost instantaneously. A quick Google search yields pages and pages of information that we can go and access and learn and make decisions around that help us make a more informative decision as to what it is that we want to do. Partners are doing this. And I ask each and every one of you, when was the last time you went because you were interested or you wanted to make a decision or you wanted to go to a certain restaurant, whatever it may be, when was the last time you went to the internet, looked up something, and a decision that you were wanting to make was influenced because of the information that you got from the internet? Most of us probably within the last 30 days. Now you have to ask yourself, is your current install base doing that? Are they starting to go and look? Are they becoming more knowledgeable because of the information that's out there? And the reason why, and you'll hear me talk about your install base much through the rest of this webinar, is because let's just be real, and data has shown that Bain Capital, in fact, I was looking up some data the other day, and many of you probably already know this, it costs 5 times more money to acquire a new customer than it does to retain the ones that you've got. One of my concerns when I'm out having conversations with partners, and I ask them, one of my questions is, hey, are you having conversations with your install base? Are you protecting your revenue that you've already worked so hard to get?
And many of them look at me and say, Justin, we don't think a whole lot of people are leaving. And I cringe at the don't think, because if you don't know, that's what's going to hurt. But what's more concerning to me is the fact that they say we don't have the resources to have conversations with them. We're focused on so many other things. And that's scary, because if you're not having conversations with them, then you have to ask yourself, who is? Are there other payroll services out there that are having conversations with them? Are there other swipe clock partners who don't know that, that's business of yours? Are they walking in, and are they selling the workforce management? And I use the word selling, and I shouldn't be using the word selling, because I don't think you sell workforce management. I think you advocate it through value, and helping the end user or your client understand the value that they gain and the protection that they receive by just a workforce management suite. Again, value is created because we created knowledge and we educated. Many of us, or many of the partners that I've spoken to, oftentimes, Justin, we can't afford to move them. I don't think they're going to want to move. I don't believe that's the case. I believe when value is created and they understand the reason why they need to move, there's an opportunity that's not only created for them, but it's also created for you. One, you retain those customers, you protect your install base, and you've also increased your revenue stream because you've created a value add back to your existing install base and even your potential new partners that really give them insight and information into what's best for their business. So the idea that many of the partners we've had in the past is, hey, let's just keep them on the current solution, whether that's TimeWorks today, you know what, we can't go move them. That's not the greatest idea. And the reason why I say that is because it is becoming antiquated technology. It's not going to serve us and fulfill the needs of many of your clients. So keeping them there because you're concerned about losing pennies is ultimately going to cost you dollars. So there's a decision, a business decision that needs to be made. Are you more worried about pennies, or are you worried about the dollars? Because you lose one client, what's the trickle effect from losing the one client? Who does that client know? Who do they go talk to and say, hey, we just talked to this other person, this is what we got, and because you guys were afraid, or any partner was afraid to go in and talk about a workforce management application because they believed that the partner wouldn't pay a whole lot more, that is detrimental to your own business and to the revenue stream that you've already created. So customers are more demanding. They're redefining what value is and what value means to them. They're constantly looking for solutions that meet that increasing need. They're more empowered. Where in the past, we didn't have the technology, or we didn't have the access to things that we have access to today. Social groups, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere you go, we live in a society where information is easily accessible, whether it be through social networks, whether it be through the internet, or whether it be through our peers. We're becoming more empowered because we have more information around us to make decisions. People are more collaborative. They're talking. Business owners are talking amongst themselves. They're talking about best business practices that make sense, things that aren't working within their organization. And this is probably what I'm fearful of most is, business owners getting together, having a conversation, and realizing that maybe, they don't have the newest and the latest and greatest technology. And therefore, you lose credibility. They're wondering why you've never gone back and you've never talked to them. And so I think that there's a chance that credibility could be lost, and we'll talk about that here in just a second too. But again, as the customer is evolving, are we evolving? And more importantly, I think the question back to all of us is, are we staying ahead of that evolution curve and making sure that we're protecting what matters most to us, and that's our clients. And we do that by providing them the latest and greatest, and let them make a decision based on the value and the education that they receive based on the conversations that they're having with you today, opposed to having somebody else come in and do it and you end up losing that business. So if you don't evolve, you will lose clients.
It's inevitable. It's a fact. And it's something that I believe that if there is an action taken fairly quickly on not just the Swipe Clock side, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today is, one, our relationship with you is bidirectional. You win, we win. You lose, we lose. So making sure that you have the latest and greatest in technology as it relates back to what your clients need is really our focus. We don't want to lose those employees any more than you want to lose them. So you will lose them if you aren't having those conversations. Customers are changing rapidly, and we have to adapt. The risk, customers discover solutions outside of your influence. The problem with that is you lose credibility, you lose customers, and you lose revenue. And the last thing that I think any of us want to do is lose credibility and lose customers and lose revenue, because it's going to take a whole lot longer for us to recoup that revenue. Again, 5 times as much to acquire a new customer than it does to retain the ones that you've got. So if anything, my message for this last part of this webinar is, if you don't have a way of going back and having a conversation with your install base because you don't have the resources to do it, my email address is on the chat box. Reach out to me. We will create a marketing program that's white labeled to you, that has analytics behind it so you can see open and close rates, you can get actionable intelligence into what people are looking at, and you can drive the sales process or the workforce management engagement via email campaigns. I will do whatever we need to do to help you protect that install base. It's a matter of you just reaching out and saying, Justin or your CDM, we need some help. What can we do? How do we go about doing this? And trusting in us as your partner that we have your best interest in mind, and that is the retention of your current install base. Because again, if you lose, we lose. If you win, we win. We're in this together. Let's work together. Let's help each other out. And again, ask me, ask your CDMs, whatever you need. Let's not use the excuse that we don't have the resources or whatever that may be. Let's stop the silliness and let's figure out what we can do together to increase the revenue on both sides and the customer satisfaction. Again, one of the things that I oftentimes say, you don't really need a sales force if your customers are happy with what you're doing, because they'll talk to other businesses. And then you've got a sales force out there that's promoting you, talking about you. It might be something for you to even think about creating an incentive program with some of your partners where they advocate you and what you've done to other business owners who might be looking for a similar service, where you could pick up some additional business there too as well. So yesterday's path is different than today's path. Think about it from a sales approach. It used to be really easy. We could go in, we could do a discovery. Then the potential client would consider it, evaluate it, purchase it, and use it. Very linear in the decision-making process. And now the problem is, again, it goes back to the internet, it goes back to social groups. It's a more dynamic approach today to sales, where what I call sales today, and if we're wanting to succeed in our marketplace, we have to take on a more consultative approach to our business. And that means we really have to focus in on what the pain points are, what the value add is, and how that value is going to go back and resolve those pains by identifying it through the workforce management suite back to the end user, who realizes that at the end of the day, you're putting money back in their pocket. You're protecting them from a compliance perspective, and you have their best interest in mind. That will create a long-term meaningful engagement between you and your install base and your current client, to where you put a protective shield around that revenue stream, and you don't have to be fearful of losing it. So what I've done is I put a racetrack up there. Maybe you're like, hey, I remember that from when we were kids. Not really to represent that part, in as much as if you look at the race cars, and you think of them as your clients or even potential clients. And within the figure eight, the circle within the figure eight on the left-hand side, you visualize that that's your business. Your business sits right there. And on the far right-hand side is your competitors. What's happening is your customers are in a continuous cycle of evaluation and assessment, and you're constantly being measured. They're always looking at what's going on and what's out there because of the information that's accessible to them today. So your business is never safe. And to assume that it is, because you know what, they've been with you for 3 to 4 years and you don't need to worry about losing them because there's no way they'll ever leave, that's not true. And that is a thought process that is going to lead to loss in revenue and high amounts of attrition that will take a lot of time to recoup. So again, looking and making sure that you're constantly communicating, that your partners know what you've got to offer, and we eliminate the excuses of price, resources, etc. We can't do that any longer. We have to figure out how we resolve that problem or the problems that exist that are preventing you from going back, and we have to do that together. So this last little slide here, you'll kind of see that I've identified it a little bit more, but you've got the discovery, consider, use, purchase, and there in the middle of the 2 white circles is evaluate, and on the left is promise, and on the right is delivery. Again, they're in constant continuous cycle of evaluation and assessment, and you need to make sure that when you're being evaluated, they already know that they've got the best. They're already talking about it. When somebody else talks to them, they're like, no, we've got a workforce management suite. We've got everything that we need. They become your advocates. They become your loyalists. So again, making sure that your loyalists, your advocates have the best in what's current today is really, truly what's going to help you grow. And I highlight that with the fact that, you know, with compliance, the SMB market it's ripe for the pickings. You have an opportunity more so than you ever have had to grow your business because of just the compliance laws and the restrictions. Do what's best for your business. Make sure that your clients have the best of the best. Make sure that they're your loyalists. Make sure that they're advocating your product. Put together an incentive program for them that encourages them to talk about what you're doing for them. Make them your sales on the street that are sending you leads and new opportunities on a day-to-day basis. So we kind of talked about this just briefly. You know, customers are getting data from alternate sources, which forces them to reassess. Again, staying in front of your customers at all times is very important to the longevity of the relationship that you have with your current install base and the new clients that you bring on today. One of the statistics that I looked up from the American Payroll Association was one in which I found out organizations that integrated time and attendance with payroll had almost a 30% lower rate of payroll processing errors and a 32% lower rate in the tracking of actual time worked. So pretty significant there. I found that data and those numbers to be somewhat impressive. I wouldn't have guessed that it would have been that high. So something to think about. So what we know is that saving time and payroll costs is a huge benefit. So what customers want is obviously the ability to streamline compliance. They want automated scheduling. They want to eliminate the manual workarounds. And ultimately, this boosts employee satisfaction. Now, many of you are probably like, well, how does that influence employee satisfaction? I encourage you today to go to Google and type in employee satisfaction and workforce management solution. The articles that come up on this, it's quite impressive. The ability to, or for the employee to know what's going on and what their time card looks like and et cetera, so they know that they're not being taken advantage of by the employer, really truly has an effect on the satisfaction level of the employee, because we know if employees aren't happy, they leave. There's a cost associated to employees leaving that we can minimize. through a lot of what we're doing with the workforce management suite. Improving profitability, enabling seamless integration, protecting the data security, increasing organizational performance, and mitigating compliance risks. This is the big thing. If you can mitigate compliance risks and you can reduce the payroll errors and you can eliminate overtime, the ROI that's established just on those three things alone will more than sufficiently cover the costs of what they have to pay for a workforce management application. And we'll get to that ROI here toward the end of the presentation. So the fact of the matter is customers must upgrade. They want to upgrade. Think about it. When was the last time you had a cell phone and you wanted the latest and the greatest, and so you went and paid for it just because you wanted it? Well, we all want the latest and greatest. We always want what's new. We want to stay up to date. We want to stay progressive. We want to know what we've got is going to help us with the things that we need. So let's not be concerned about the fact that what our customers don't want to upgrade. No, that's not true. If they're educated, they're knowledgeable, and they're made aware, and they understand the value, they will upgrade. And we're seeing that. I would say the majority of probably about 85% of all of the deals that we're helping our partners with right now, whether it be they're migrating their entire install base over to Workforce Management or TimeWorks Plus with Bundle, most of that's coming from the workforce management side of it. So the future of attendance and scheduling, the integration, TimeWorks Plus, time simplicity, web clock, and mobile, all those things combined together really truly give a workforce management experience that provides tremendous ROI and return back to the client. So TimeWorks Plus, 66% of organizations integrate time and attendance with payroll. So here with just TimeWorks Plus, some of the benefits: enhanced management by exception functionality. We have the ability to minimize compliance risk. There's real-time reporting, employee self-service, and obviously TimeWorks Mobile. So again, if ACA has kept you up at night, be prepared for a good night's sleep, because TimeWorks Plus is really truly protecting and covering the client from any ACA or potential issues. Time simplicity, 70% of organizations integrate time and attendance with scheduling. And here the benefits of scheduling obviously eliminate overstaffing, coverage gap alerts, identify best fit employees, a robust attendance and labor management tool, and integration with time and attendance, and it's cloud-based. So time tracking, the workforce management clock, you'll see a picture of the actual workforce management tablet. Again, that drop down that you just saw was Samuel's clocked in. He's in on time, and then Samuel clocked in late. He's 17 minutes late for his shift, and then he's early. So notifications and, there's the punch details, and just based on whether you're late or you're early, there's places that will require additional information from the employee. So real-time validation, employee state awareness, and quick action buttons. So the workforce management clock, a couple different versions of this. There's the web clock, which is Web Clock 3.0, which is free. You'll notice on the bottom left-hand side, clock in and clock out, basic features with the Web Clock 3.0. And then the one above is the Workforce Management Clock, which encompasses all of the other keys. So the benefits of that: eliminate duplicate punches and supervisor hassle with employee state awareness, prevent labor cost overruns, reduce time at the clock with quick action breaks, meals, and transfers, and quickly assess employee clock activity with new punch types on the time card, plus all of the features from the free web clock. Now, again, Q4 brings us hopefully the new tablet, where we've got the biometric fingerprint and prox card authentication. It will have Wi-Fi connectivity, simple clocking mode, plus all of the features that come with WebClock. So pricing, and you'll get a copy of this. We're going to move here fairly quickly on, I guess we've got to wrap up. Everybody's probably got to go to lunch or has other things to do. But you'll get a copy of this on Monday, so you'll see the pricing guide. If you have any questions, please feel free to email the CDM or myself. So TimeWorks Plus, mobile, fully integrated, remote clock in and clock out capabilities, employee self-service with lead management and GPS pinpoint tracking. So everything here facilitates mobile convenience for employees and management. Time simplicity, real-time up-to-date with schedules. Request schedule changes and pick up extra shifts or call or email your coworker. And again, hopefully with time simplicity, we simplify all the challenges of scheduling as it's on the go. So in wrapping up today's path and where we're going, everything's in the cloud, no borders between platforms and devices. You can start a job in one place and you can end it in another. Everything's mobile. We're very, very focused on the mobile side of the business. Mobile's evolving, tablets are evolving, and technology just kind of proves that to be true with wristwatches. We're even seeing it in glasses, and now we're even seeing it in vehicles. And then data. Everything's data-driven. Data really is the key to success for a business, and being able to provide that data back from a workforce management application truly is the very essence of the ROI. So why should your clients upgrade? Propel productivity and revenue. Newer technology reduces those business costs. Attract and retain customers. We're constantly evaluated based on the technology that we use, and if we're not, we're going to be, and so we need to stay ahead of that curve. And then obviously last but not least is the legal compliance side of it. So here with the Workforce Management Suite, we really truly bring in compliance into everything that we do, and that in itself is a tremendous value add, and one that we need to make sure that we're promoting when we're having those conversations with our clients. So really quickly here, and one of the things that you'll get is a copy of the ROI calculator that your salespeople or your internal staff can use. That's white labeled to you, and you'll see more of that. You'll have access to that on Monday. But everybody knows a business that's got 25 hourly employees to manage that are paid about an average of $15 per hour, who work an average of 30 hours per week, and have 2 supervising managers who earn about $30 per hour. And when you get the ROI calculator, the math is quite simple, so you can go back and look at it and validate how those numbers are portrayed. But just unplanned overtime savings, $5,850. In manager time savings, $8,840. And in turnover savings, $3,300. And integration savings, it looks like my zero dropped down, but $13,000. So that's a total of $30,990 in savings. Even if we split that in half, let's call it $15,000. The amount that you're going to go and charge them for workforce management more than covers, the ROI covers that. So again, you're putting money back in their pocket, you're protecting them, and you're helping them as an investment in a workforce management application that really yields to the productivity and the expansion of their business, because now they're compliant, they're not having to spend money in overtime, they're reducing the manager time, the money that's being spent there, and the reduction in turnover is decreased significantly. So a pretty simple calculator, and one, by the way, that you'll have a WordPress plugin that you can put on your website that's white labeled. People can go in and fill out the information. You can capture lead information from that, and you can even take it internally and fill out information relative to your end user or your client or your install base, and fill out their information and email it back to them. So again, if there's any questions on that, please email me. So we're here to help. Whatever you need, please reach out to us. Whatever you need, sales, training, support. If you need me to get with your sales teams and do some sales training around consultative sales approaches, I'm more than happy to do that. So again, there is nothing that isn't on the table here as it pertains to whatever you need relative to Swipe Clock and how we can go about helping your business. So we're here to help, free support, group upgrade, and training. And the resources that you have available to you, Solar, there's marketing resources, and there will be continuous webinars throughout the rest of this month and even going in through Q3 and Q4. So more webinars to be had there. So thank you very much. And just wrapping up, one of the things that I want to offer to everybody is if you want to migrate your clients off of TimeWorks, which I would highly encourage everybody to do because it's just a matter of time. There is no defined date, but with where we're going and where we're seeing that the majority of our partners are taking advantage of, is getting people off of TimeWorks today.